Here's the microphone.
Is this thing on?
Yeah.
All communication lines are clear. Clear.
Communications are picking up the signal.
You are listening to Stay Tuned El Paso with Victor Cruz and Charlie Moreno.
The best thing to happen to El Paso ever.
The greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
I've never seen a diamond in the flesh.
Have you heard this?
I like it already.
Wedding rings in the movies.
I'm pretty sure it's not new, but you
just found it?
It's new to me.
I like it.
In the torn-up town, no postcode envy. But every song's like gold teeth, gray goose tripping in the bathroom, bloodstains, ball gowns, trash in the hotel room. We don't care. We're driving Cadillacs in
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Stay tuned to El Paso. Victor Cruz, Charlie Moreno, thank you guys again for tuning in. Episode number 21. I guess if you're into the numbering of the episodes, like we have been.
If anything, they're on the title, and when people download it, it shows on your phone what episode it is. So,
Who was that? That was cool.
that's OTEP with Royals, the reboot.
OTEP has been around for a long time. I'm not a fan of. I mean, I've heard the music. I know I don't hate them, but that was really cool. Most covers that I've heard of that song, by the way, Royals from Lord, done pretty well. You know, Puddles the Pity Party Clown. I don't know if you're aware of him. No. Okay. So, God, I wish Marina was here. Marina Monsi's that we talked to. Chalk the Block from a couple of years back. Matter of fact, last year brought in Puddles the Pity Party Clown. And anybody who's listening knows exactly who I'm talking about. You'll have to do and you, Charlie, you'll have to do a YouTube. Yeah, just do Puddles Pity Party.
Okay.
Yeah. And you'll see some of his stuff. It's this, I don't want to ruin it for you, but he does a cover of Royals. He did it live. We got to see him at Chalk the Block. They brought him in for Chalk the Block. Really, really interesting. Really solid stuff.
Definitely need to look it up. So he's a musician, rapper.
He's a musician, but
he makes noise.
Here's a spoiler. Here's a big spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Right? He's an entertainer from, I want to say, Georgia or maybe Louisiana. I forget exactly where he's at, but he's an actual musician. But he dresses up in a clown, Renaissance-type clown costume, and once he's in character, does not speak a word until he gets up on stage and starts singing, and has the most beautiful voice you've ever heard. I mean, and it's just like, whoa! And he's totally into it. But it's a separate character. But he'll do mashups. He did a mashup of Johnny Cash and Pinball Wizard. And sings, it's amazing. And he does a cover of Royals.
Puddles Pity Party. I just found him on Facebook, and I liked it, and that's cool. I'll check it out.
Get into him. And it's for the novelty of it, but it's really, really good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And I think he came out on he's really popular as it is, but most recently was on an episode of America's Got Talent, I think. I'd never seen it, but somebody had told me, hey, Puddles was on. So you're listening to Stay Tuned, El Paso. We go from one clown to another. Some of the bigger news stories. I know you're a fan of this. By the way, no guest this podcast.
No,
it's just going to be me and Charlie talking about stuff. We got a list of things that we hopefully can cover within the hour in the topic.
Just shoot the shiznit.
O.J. Simpson, the big news. I think one of the bigger news items that's coming out. O.J. Simpson obviously is went up for parole. They gave him parole. They didn't deny parole for him about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
As we record this. And now the big news is, and it's breaking out of Nevada, that they've actually let him out.
He's out. So when this episode comes out, it's going to be coming out next week. But he's already going to be out for several days, almost a week. So by this time, I'm expecting we'll have to do an update and do a body count on how many people he's actually killed since he's been out on parole.
In Florida. The last word I heard is that he is going to be living in Florida, because I guess that's where the real killer was, or he suspects.
What he's going to do? Just move in?
What is your take on this? And I mean, I'm a fan of this story because, let's be honest, we've mentioned it before. This was the biggest breaking news story for a while of our generation. This was the case to beat all, end all cases. And on the surface, whether you believe he did or didn't do it, and kids, those that don't know about the OJ trial, do a quick search.
Oh my God, yeah.
You can't. It's not going to be quick. But see, we're talking about two separate cases. though.
Exactly.
There's not. He has nothing. Everything that he was in prison and jail for has absolutely nothing to do with the alleged murders
The 90s,
of
yeah.
Nicole and Ron Goldman.
Right.
This has something to do with him acting like a jackass.
Right.
Trying to get memorabilia back, acting like a tough guy.
Yeah.
And that's all. That whole Nicole Brown Simpson, that's over. That's done.
Yeah.
Double jeopardy, double.
He was acquitted. He was found not guilty. It doesn't mean innocent. So I don't know. Did he deserve the sentence that he got? A lot of people argue that he didn't, but the judge was trying to make a point. And again, the system worked the way it was supposed to. There was enough evidence. He was convicted. He served his time. And again, for the murders, he was acquitted. So now we have a guy that was released, and a lot of people are upset because he's this monster. Mm-hmm. He killed 2 people. He has money, and now he's free. Again, this is a different case. He was acquitted
of the previous.
So people are angry when the system works, and people are always angry when the system doesn't work.
So that's my feeling is, okay, so Juice, you're going to go find the real killer then?
Right.
Or are you going to go hide and live in Florida away from everything?
He's going to go golf.
Yeah.
He's going to go
That's
golf.
what he was doing.
And that's the thing, though. Like, let's say you were acquitted of murder, and many, many years later, you're released from prison for something else. Are you actually going to go look for the murderer? I mean, if you spent this much time in prison, is that your concern now?
I guess. Well, now what is okay? In strictly opinion. Yeah. Throw out the facts for just a moment. Did he do it? Did he kill those 2 people? Charlie Moreno thinks.
I think the evidence showed that he did. I think there was enough evidence to find him guilty. However, the prosecution screwed it up big time, and
it's one of the situations where the defense didn't win. The prosecution lost.
Exactly.
That's what it was.
Yeah. And once he was acquitted, even his own defense attorneys were like, wow, we won? What? Excuse me? What?
Yeah.
And
there's all kinds of TV movies made. There has been all kinds of documentaries made, and they all kind of sort of lean in that angle, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, but he was acquitted.
Yeah. The system worked.
Right.
And I use work in air quotes.
And again, another controversial case, and in Florida this time, the Casey Anthony case. Mm-hmm. You know, here you have, it was very different from OJ's case, because in this case, it was all circumstantial evidence. They weren't actually able to show evidence that she harmed her baby or had any part to do with it. They had circumstantial evidence, but the prosecution didn't lay out the story for the jury, and she was acquitted. And then people that don't even know the circumstances of the evidence of their trial assume that she's guilty. Mm-hmm. Now, she was an asshole. She was at the clubs posting pictures and selfies and all that stuff while her daughter is missing. And for a lot of people, that's enough to say she must have done it. Mm-hmm. But again,
it's not black and white, and we've said that 1,000 times. It's not black and white.
Right.
When it comes to in a jury in a court, there is no black and white. Yeah. There's blurring of lines and the best representation of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm upset that the juice is loose, but I don't know why. Because I guess I grew up with this whole.
Our condolences to everyone in Florida affected by the hurricanes, and now OJ.
And now OJ. Also, the other celebrity, I guess it would be celebrity news, or the biggest news of it was Hugh Hefner passing away.
Yeah.
This time it took. Poor guy.
This time is real.
Poor guy had been passing away all over Facebook for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
It seems like every other third month or so, the Hef was passing away. But now, unfortunately, the age of 91. I thought one of the more interesting facts of...
Too soon.
I think so.
He was so young.
Seriously. And active. At least he died. At least he died doing what he loved. Models. I think one of the neater parts of the, if there is a neat part of him passing, I shouldn't even say it that way. One of the more interesting factoids that I did read is that he probably will be buried next to Marilyn Monroe. He had bought a tomb at one point next to her after she had died, and it looks like that they are going to go through with that. Again, as we record, there haven't been any information. There hasn't been any information about burials and all that stuff. Although I got to tell you, one of the things that upset me, and before we got on and started recording this afternoon, Charlie and I were talking about people on Facebook, and oh, you got that one friend who, oh, you got this. I got this one friend. I'm going off on the tangent here for a second from Hugh Hefner, but I had this one friend who would always post, I don't know, selfies or things around the house, or hey, look we got a brand new something or other, and man, do you ever look like at a friend's picture and think, your house smells? I have never been to your house.
You can download the smell.
You smell. No matter where this friend was at in the house,
there needs to be a Febreze app.
But at the very least, smell-o-vision. So if you took a picture of me cooking or something on the stove, and off on the corner of the stove, it was like baked on food that nobody ever thought about cleaning.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I want to get into this story, but I'm no longer friends with said person just because it was just too fucking gross. It was just
on Facebook or everywhere.
Well, we were pretty much only friends on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
But then when you bump into them and they were fine, they were, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. But then you go back and, oh, look, hey, we got a new dog, and you see blankets, and you just know. And I'm not saying I'm the cleanest. Charlie, you've been in the apartment. The apartment's lived in.
I've never walked in here and think this place is a dump. I never.
But I mean, it's lived in. I mean, we're not immaculate. We're we
it's
live
an apartment.
Here.
It's a home, and there's stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not.
No, not this person. No, there's pieces of paper, like literally, like little white pieces of ripped up paper just on the corner. I'm going, do you vacuum? Do you clean? Right. What the? So anyway, I don't even want to get into the story of the most recent. They bought a pet.
You're just
I'm going into it. They have a pet, and it's a certain type of exotic pet. I don't want to say too much because I know my friends.
Yeah, somebody will know somebody that knows somebody.
And they
screenshot.
They were bathing a certain pet, and in the tub was those droppings of that pet. That's gross. Why would you post a picture? Wouldn't you at least take care of? Oh, let me get a better angle or something.
Yeah.
The goddamn mouse. They have a pet rat. And
usually rats are actually a very clean animal, but
well, then I think this speaks more upon what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a learned behavior for the rat.
Said the animal expert. So that throws me over into, so we all have, I guess, that one friend that you can, oh man, what's wrong with your nails type of thing,
Yeah.
Please pick up your God. So I saw another friend. We were looking at Hugh Hefner, talking about Hugh Hefner's passing and stuff. And everybody I would say about 99% of people pretty much had the same comments on Facebook. Rest in peace. Thank you for everything.
He was a hero. I don't get that.
Made me a man.
Am I wrong for thinking?
Well, here's the thing. I had another friend who I'm no longer friends with, who other people probably still are listening to the podcast. I have no issue. They can contact me. I don't care. I didn't mention your name. Screw you. They went off on a tangent of fuck Hugh Hefner. He was misogynistic. He exploited women.
Not just women, but girls.
That was the other point. A Brooke Shields picture from way back when she was a little. But she went so far as to say, on the day he died, fuck him. The hell with them. Right. I don't believe that. Did I say she? So then there was other people in the comments that were saying, you're missing the point. He was also a businessman. He also empowered women. He also gave, this, and that. I mean, obviously there's two sides to the story. But I mean, as the dude is dead, there's always that one person.
Are you afraid Hugh Hefner's going to hear it?
Well, no, but I mean, isn't there a bit of
a little respect? That
was the word I was looking for. Don't we? Do you have to make, and again, it goes back to everything we've been talking about social media. We mentioned it with Chris this last podcast. Isn't there a buffer zone?
I'm conflicted. I don't know. Because it's kind of like when Chuck Berry died.
Okay. Yeah,
he's a legend. He's one of the originators, inventors of rock and roll.
Say any and
unless
everything.
you talk to people in the South and white supremacists, then they'll say it's Elvis. But he was one of the inventors of rock and roll, a true legend. However, Chuck Berry was a huge asshole and pervert. He was
big time pervert.
Yeah, and he was violent. He would sexually assault prostitutes. He would install hidden cameras in restrooms of his restaurant. There was allegations of sexual assault. And let's not sugarcoat it. Sexual assault is rape.
This isn't any allegations. This is fact.
He was convicted.
You can pull this information up.
He was convicted of some stuff. He had a lot of drug issues. He sold and distributed drugs. He was a piece of shit. And when he died, I really don't have sympathy for that. And now with Hugh Hefner getting off...
Are you the same way?
Well...
The phrase out there is...
It's harder to find evidence of what Hugh Hefner did. Maybe it was because he had more people covering up. And there's as we record this right now, there's a story that was just published today at 1:05 a.m. and it's from maybe this source isn't that good.
Sunday, October 1st, by the way, as we record.
Right, and there's a model named Zoe Paul, who's a UK model, and this article alleges that she would actually recruit young girls under the age of 18 for sex orgies with Hugh Hefner up until he was at least 74 years old. And sometimes they would have up to 17 girls a night without protection. So, and there was also that Brooke Shields. Look,
is it forgivable, though? No, I shouldn't say forgivable. Do we throw a blind eye on it because Chuck Berry dies? And
right.
Do you say right away, fuck him, he's dead? Or is there a bit of a buffer zone? And what is the limit of throwing a blind eye? Because as I've said, as a Prince fan, we can talk about all these great things that Prince did, all the fantastic music he released, he recorded that still hasn't been released or recorded. But the bottom line is Prince died a drug user.
Right.
And I have to accept that. As his biggest fan, as walking around with the Prince tattoo on my leg, I almost have to defend him for that. To what degree, as a fan, as a person who enjoys their product, music, magazine, is it okay to defend them after a while?
I see it in this way. I see it that we tend to try to protect the ones that we love. And in this case, when it comes to celebrities, they don't deserve to be protected because we don't know them personally. We don't know who they are in real life behind closed doors. And when somebody is an asshole, whether they're a celebrity or not, there's a lot of people that do shady stuff and have the money to donate to charities to kind of divert attention away from that. But when you have somebody that has that much money and can hire people to protect him, and you have this huge compound where when you go in, you assume anything can and will happen, and you do not disclose this. I've heard stories that you actually have to sign a non-disclosure when you enter the property of the Playboy Mansion. Mm-hmm. So when you have somebody that's a celebrity and they give this persona, this image to the public, and the public accepts it, and they just disregard all these brutal, horrifying things that are happening behind closed doors.
Allegations or otherwise.
Right. To me, that's not acceptable. They're celebrities, and that's it. They're still people. We should still treat them like people. Just because you have the fame and the fortune doesn't mean you should be able to escape any criticism of violent or criminal behavior. It's not acceptable.
It goes back to what Charles Barkley said many years ago. Even as an active player, I think he was out of it. But I'm not here to be anybody's hero.
Right.
I'm not here to be looked good upon.
Yeah.
I'm here to do my job, whatever that is. New movies opening. Let's talk about some of the newer movies. This much I can tell you as the jaded asshole 44-year-old. This is a crappy time for movies right now. We're out of the summer blockbusters. Right. we haven't quite hit the winter movies that are coming out. I guess those will start happening beginning to mid-October, although Hollywood tries to push it a little bit sooner on us. But do you have a list of any of the movies that are coming out that even look half entertaining? It seems like Hollywood is rehashing ideas, making sequels, prequels, reboots.
Marshall, about young Thurgood Marshall, the first of African-American Supreme Court Justice.
Actually looks good.
Should we say of African-American, or is it time that we just say black?
I have no idea.
I got to ask my African-American friends.
Get Dave Graham on the phone.
I'll ask him.
He'll give you half an answer. Brum-pum-pum.
That one is going to be coming out starring Kate Hudson. Also, The Foreigner, which stars Jackie Chan.
Oh, yeah.
A humble businessman with a buried past seeks justice when his daughter is killed by an act of terrorism.
I saw trailers for that one, too. It looks like that one with, what was it, Liam Neeson?
Taken.
Oh. I have an incredible set of skills. I don't even know what the line is.
So that's the Jackie Chan version. That's that's nice.
Yeah, well, diversity. See,
cool. Happy Death Day. Obviously, it's mid-October. So The Snowman. That's a crime drama horror. I don't recognize any names. Some kind of different as me drama. Renee Zellweger is in that. Oh, I'm curious to see her new face.
Yeah,
maybe I'll go watch that.
She changes like Vegas. She changes every 3 to 5 years.
There's a Tyler Perry movie, Boo 2, a Medea Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Only the Brave. Man, a lot of these movies suck. The Snowman.
What about Flatliners? Do you see? Did that already come out as we record?
I think it's going to come out. I should be out before this podcast is coming out. I think it comes out October 6th. And that one is Ellen Page, and I can't remember who else is in it.
I thought it was a reboot, but somebody said it's actually a sequel. Actually part 2 to the original Flatline. And I know I saw the original one, probably on HBO or whatever, a couple of times. Yeah. I just don't remember it very well. I have to sit down and watch it again. I
think it's October 6th that it's released, so it'll be out by the time this episode is out.
I don't know if I can sit down and watch it. I guess for the very basic synopsis, it talks about near-death experiences, or rather, I guess they die.
Putting themselves into
a near-death experience.
Yeah.
Or into death.
Basically dying on purpose with the ability to be brought out of it.
See?
I know, right?
I mean, just the concept of it, I don't know if the movie's going to play out as creepy.
Right.
But, I mean, when you talk about, I don't even want to talk about death. I don't know if it's going through the things that I've gone through in my older age, or the fact that I know there's an end. Near-death experiences scare the piss out of me. And I mean, if you were to ask me, what's your biggest fear? Death. Simply. And it's not a religious thing, because I don't know if I'm going to go anywhere else. I don't know what's going to happen afterwards. But near-death experiences, there's been 1 or 2 instances, and we haven't even divulged into the podcast about my heart surgery and heart attack and things that I had over a year ago that happened to me, because that can take up 2 or 3 podcasts. I don't even know if I could capsulate here now what happened to me. But the age of 43, chest pain, wicked pain, not like you would think of a heart attack, but it had this just uncomfortableness, and ended up going into the hospital and having it checked out. And thank Allah, Buddha, God, everybody that I did, because I was having a series of minor heart attacks for like about a week.
Wow.
And actually had blockage. I had some severe blockage, and very, very long story short, I had triple bypass. Again, it was about a year ago, back in late May, early June.
Of 2016.
2016. And the mind is still trying to process everything that has happened since, if that makes any sense. And it's hard, I guess, unless somebody's been through that. Because when I tell somebody when they've gone through it, they go, oh, I know exactly what you mean. So it's hard to understand the process of what happened, what could have happened, what's going to happen. So near death, dying, I have a really, really hard time dealing with it. I mean, it at times keeps me up. And in fact, I think, for all intents and purposes, I died twice in the hospital. Now, vision of white light and tunnel. No. I'm not talking about any of that. I know I died one time when they had to stop my heart and put me on an artificial heart, breathing and all that stuff, so that they could work on me. I get that.
Yeah.
But an instance happened to me after the surgery that I remember vividly. And I know I shouldn't remember it. I would hope that my mind blocked it, but something, it didn't. And I remember it. I'd like to get into that, but I'm teasing and leading on into something that happened to you recently. You told me about a week or two ago. Oh, by the way, I almost died.
Yeah.
On a Facebook message. And I was like, what? What happened? What? And we haven't gotten into it. So near-death experiences. I think we've all experienced it at some point or another. And right before we get to you, I'm also a firm believer of chaos and the butterfly theory. And I don't want to get into it. It's something that you can look into real easily. Jurassic Park, they talk about it, butterfly theory. But I believe that every small action that you do now either creates or even avoids a greater consequence that happens or doesn't happen.
Right.
In my instance, had I not have gone to the hospital that night, small effect.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have gone later. Who knows what would have happened? I think in a certain point you can, I hate to say control, but almost control your destiny.
If you would have stayed to watch the last scene of Purple Rain, what would have happened?
In fact, we were supposed to have been out at
Pershing
Inn.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have been doing something, and it got canceled that night. So I often wonder, I mean, we can play what if all day long,
right,
but I often wonder, what if I had gone? What if I had, there was about a 4-hour time frame of me doing something other than going to the hospital at that moment. What would have happened?
Yeah.
Or driving down the street. How many times have you done that? Oh, I better not make this turn, or something just pulls you away from that. It goes back to what Grace and all of us, we talked about before.
Yeah.
But I think you have a little bit of control of what's going to happen. And I guess everybody's had at some point a near-death experience, and maybe you didn't know it or not. Maybe you didn't realize that.
Well, it's no fun if you don't know it.
Well, I know. I imagine when
out
you
of sight,
die,
out of mind.
Yeah, I imagine when you die, they run down a list of things. Well, remember that time you ate it? That you ate that bad. You shouldn't have eaten that or whatever. I imagine you get a list of.
Why did you have that fish taco in your purse all day?
Then you ate it. Choosing sushi from the corner of the gas station was probably not your best. If you've ever had a near-death experience, not so much a paranormal experience where you thought you saw something happen to you, because I've had a couple of those too, but I mean an actual true, no pun intended, a true-to-life near-death experience. Leave a comment. Go to our Facebook page. When this episode is released, you'll see the link on the Facebook page, and just leave a comment below and share with us if you have. I'd like to hear some of those, because it's still so. The whole surgery to me. I don't know how much time do we have left. Can we get into some of this?
Yeah.
Okay. The whole surgery to me, I still can't process. And one of the problems, and I hear myself doing it again more often than not, and I don't know if you've caught it on this podcast, I don't know if you catch it when you talk to me in person, and the whole irony of it all is that I'm on the radio every day. I have a hard time speaking sometimes, and it's not a stutter. I just can't find the right words sometimes.
I've developed that problem since we started the podcast.
On the podcast.
I did public speaking for a decade, and now we start a podcast, and I stutter like fucking...
But I don't know if it's part of... I've heard people tell me, your brain is still trying to process everything that happened, because I had to go artificial for the surgery. And there's a lot of theory. There's a lot of theory that says, even though... the brain is healing. They cut me open. They filleted me like a freaking lobster tail. And I understand that. And even at that, I don't think I fully understand what they physically did to my body. Yeah. I know what they did, but I haven't seen it.
And you'll never really get it.
And I know. And that's the fucking thing, Charlie, I don't think I will ever. So if that was just the physical... the mental is still trying to catch up with everything. And they've told me, doctors and nurses have told me, friends of the family, the mind went through some shit also. Even if it was in a split second that you were living to artificial then back to living again. After they did the surgery,
Yeah.
the mind is still trying to catch up with it, and it's still trying to, almost like a glitch in the matrix,
Yeah.
if you believe in all that.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time, dealing, processing, understanding what happened. I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
That's like asking you, will you ever understand that accident? Will you ever understand your quick response? No. You know what happened, but I don't think you'll fully, like you said, until you see a dash cam video of what happened. And then my question to you is, do you really want to relive that? Would you really want to see
Right.
you almost die? You know what I mean? Even if it was close. It's one thing to watch it on YouTube or TV when you watch
Yeah.
America's most, awesome crashes or whatever. But to relive all that again, I don't want to relive the process of, and it's a little bit selfish for me to say after hearing everything that you said, but obviously going through the pain and suffering that my family went through, that Z went through, a lot of that I don't remember. I think that's where my mind blocked out. Her suffering. Now, I know what she went through. She was there in the hospital with me from the night I checked in to the 3-4 days that I had to quickly rehab so that I could get the fuck out of there, because that was my thought process. And I'll never forget. And in fact, I told you who she was on your Facebook. You have a mutual friend who was my nurse at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember her checking me into the hospital after I spent about 6-7 hours in emergency, and they diagnosed that I was actually having a heart attack right then and there in that moment. And we need to see how much, we need to do an EKG and see how much damage is done. So we're going to check you into the hospital. It's like Thursday morning at, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm being checked into the hospital. And her first, they ask you these series of questions. Are you this? Are you that? And, you're wanting the best care, blah, blah, blah. And she asked me, what is your main goal of your hospital visit here this time? And I said, to get the hell out. Really, that was my feeling. In other words, whatever it is we need to do, the surgery at that moment, though, was never, and it wasn't even a thought. I figured, now they're going to give me a couple of pills. I'll take a Plavix. Something's not right. We'll clear it out. Surgery and triple bypass was never even. In fact, that was worst case scenario. So I just wanted to leave. I just wanted to get the hell out. Now, all that being said, after all the process and after everything was done, I wanted out. And I think I healed quickly. Without getting into too much of the details of the surgery, post-surgery, I healed. They said, if you can walk, talk, eat, and shit, go to the restroom, poop, you can go home. I was up. Get me the freaking walker.
You're taking a shit while you're walking.
I'm going, man.
And eating a sundae at the same time.
I'm out of here.
Talking with your mouth full.
Absolutely. And it's not to say that I didn't give myself enough time to do what my body had to do. I think I did.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in the near-death thing, I can tell you a very, very quick story, if we can have time for this story. And I think I told you this when we were first really talking about the podcast. I'll go in a little bit of detail with you, though. So I remember...
I don't think we would have a podcast if you didn't go through that.
I don't think so, because that was the convincing part of doing the podcast. And if my wife were here, she's in the other room right now, she's heard this story a billion times. I've told this story a billion times. But all said and done... I don't want to get into the whole story about having the heart attacks. And I want everybody to know something. If you walk away from this podcast with anything, I want everybody to understand that if there is something you think wrong with you, if you don't feel good about something, do not put it off. Don't wait. Just go and have it checked. Because if I would have put off or saved it or waited, I don't know where I would have been. And I'm not saying expect the worst. I'm not saying your chest hurts and you're having a heart attack. No. I'm just saying if something doesn't feel right, don't put it off. Because you don't know. Let's be honest, most doctors probably don't know either, but at least find a way. So all things said and done, the night that I was having this, I'd been having this chest situation for about a week. My dumb ass. I didn't get it checked out when I should have. When I finally couldn't handle it is when I went in, and that's when they were telling me, you're having a heart attack right now. It's been happening. And that blew me away. No, I don't have those symptoms.
Was your heart offended or uncomfortable?
It was uncomfortable. It was a little uncomfortable at the time. Honestly, from a Wednesday to a Tuesday, I was in the hospital for about a week having to deal with this situation.
And out of that whole week, how many times did I stop by to say hi?
Not once.
Not once.
You son of a...
Zero times.
You little cock.
I was like, fuck that. I don't want to go to a hospital and see my friend.
I didn't want that. And you know what, though? You tell me that, and I've heard that from other people, and I respect that. I absolutely respect that. Because at a certain point, I even told Z, I don't want people coming here if they feel obligated to. No. Let me do what I have to do.
And I told you when we talked about the podcast, this was probably in March, the reason why I didn't go stop by and see you was because I get really bad anxiety. And I had spent a bit of time at hospitals when I was working for a local nonprofit organization that helps children with cancer, and that really screwed me up. And I think a lot of it is my age and the things that I've gone through as when I was younger. A lot of it that is catching up to me now. So I feel very anxious around stressful situations like that. If I can't control it, and so I told you that's the reason why. And even reading the posts on Facebook was stressing me out. And it was one of those things where I wanted to stop by and say hi, but I just felt like I'm just going to lose it.
And that's not what I wanted. But what was my response when you told me that? You remember when you told me that? I said, fuck you, Charlie. You should have come by, at least brought me a newspaper so I could read.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
Whatever you said that day, I didn't pay attention.
That's what it is. A comic book, at least, for God's sakes. I was bored. No, I absolutely respected that. And I wouldn't have wanted you to do that if that's how you were going to feel.
Right.
Look, as a type 1 diabetic, I'm type 1 diabetic, okay? And for those of you wondering, that is what happened. I had...
Explain what type 1 diabetic, because even nowadays, people still don't
I still
get
hear
it.
Sugar diabetes.
Right.
And that just, you don't get sugar diabetes. That's like saying dead organ cancer, for God's sakes.
Right.
My pancreas no longer works. That's the bottom line. My pancreas works so little it no longer works. And the pancreas is what helps, or is what creates the insulin in your body.
Right.
Whatever it is you eat, whatever it is you drink, your body knows how to regulate it by shooting out insulin and breaking down everything. So that these sugars that you eat, because everything eventually processes into a type of carb, into a type of sugar, your insulin will break down this carb, this sugar. Mine doesn't. So essentially what happens if I sat here and ate a whole bunch of food, not just sweets, not just candy, not just Cokes, if I ate a whole bunch of food more than I should, my body's going to have a hard time breaking it down, and it's essentially going to turn into a poison. If I don't go running immediately, if I don't go do some sort of exercise,
right,
it creates this poison in your system that your body can't break down, and you literally end up poisoning yourself. We can go into theory about all this, and I'm sure you've heard it, but there's a theory as to why at 19, 20, 21 years old, I became type 1 diabetic. It was a shock to the system. Sometimes that happens. There was already a virus in me that said, we're not going to do
Vaccinations,
well.
right?
Yeah,
Vaccinations. Absolutely.
I shouldn't have gotten my polio shot. I don't know. There's all kinds of theories. Hereditary, no. It wasn't hereditary. Genetics, could be. But nonetheless, I've been type 1 diabetic, and that is, in essence, what happened with my heart attack situation. I wasn't... And God knows I wasn't eating bad. I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't eating the best I could.
Right.
None of us are unless we're, training. But, and that's the first thing the doctor said. He said, this isn't your lifestyle. I looked at your numbers. I've looked at your cholesterol.
It's not a lifestyle issue.
No, it was the lifestyle of being a type 1 diabetic.
Right.
You're not eating like crap. He says, this is 20 some odd years of being type 1. And what does type 1 mean? That means I got to give myself insulin every day, 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Basically, 4 now with a different type of insulin. But it was the disease working on me. And that's exactly the quote. I can hear him saying, this was happening no matter what. Okay, I accepted that.
Yeah.
I went through that. It was the process of what do we do next? Do we go in? Do we, is there a stint? Is there roto-rooter? Are you going to clean out all that shit? No. The best option for me in my age, because I still feel like I'm young, and so did the doctor, thankfully, was open heart surgery. Let's fix this problem now so that you don't come back. And that's how he put it to me, man. And that's what blew me away. I knew what was happening as it was happening, but the moment the heart surgeon said, if we don't do anything, you're back in 5 months.
Oh, God.
He says, if we do a stint where they put the wire mesh and open your arteries and try to clean all that crap out as they do it, he says, if we do a stint, you're back in 5 years. If we go in for open heart and bypass, you probably won't be back. And it took me about as long as that little pause was there to realize, well, let's do it then. What my God, of course I'll go. But I still don't think I understood what was happening as it was happening. To sit and bypass, it is exactly what you think it is. Did they clean out that artery? Did they clear that artery out of all that crap? No. They simply took a new artery. Actually, they took a vein out of my leg, flipped it around, became an artery. Who knew? Who knew?
Is that how...
You can do that sort of thing. If you need an artery, just take a vein out. And bypassed all that bad stuff. And we're talking 90%, 70, and 40% blockage.
Wow.
Widowmaker? No, I don't think so, because the Widowmaker is the clog that goes around, right? The clot that goes around. But I wasn't doing well. Right. I was not doing good at all. And I'll tell you the near-death experience out of all that, because we can get into details, we can get into everything that happened that I still don't quite understand. As a matter of fact, I want to share two quick stories. I want to share this one, and I want to share the near-death experience, because I still don't understand what happened there. The real quick story is we had a mutual friend who came and visited me. One of the last people that I did see the night before the surgery. My main concern was everybody kept saying, you're going to go through surgery. You're going to be one-on-one with the nurse. The minute you come out of surgery, somebody's going to be with you. Somebody's going to be standing with you. There's going to be a nurse with you. They'll be taking care of you. So don't worry about it. But you won't remember a thing. Oh, by the way, you're going to wake up with a tube in your mouth, but you won't remember a thing. My biggest concern out of all of this stupid surgery was waking up with a tube in my mouth. Yeah. I did not want... Because you're a lot like me. You have to communicate. You have to say things. You have to, blockage. I didn't want to have anything there. We had a mutual friend come and visit us, and she's heard me tell the story too. I've messaged her about it 1,000 times.
Oh, have you?
Erica.
Oh, yeah, Erica, yeah.
Erica at the time was a EMT, and she came to visit me.
Yeah.
At night, right before the surgery, and I said, hey, Erica, by the way, they're telling me I'm going to wake up with a tube in my mouth. And she was like, oh, dude, don't worry about it. You're not going to remember anything.
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah. You won't even. I woke up the day of the surgery. There's a whole bunch of detail there, but day of the surgery, 7:30 surgery. I think they came in at 7 to get me. I don't know if I got a shot or if they gave me a pill or if they put something in the IV to knock me out. But all I remember was being in the bed, and they're pushing me out my hospital room, and I don't remember past the door. I was out. By the time they wheeled, okay, here we go, and out. I remember waking up out of the surgery, everything black. My eyes are closed, obviously, and I can hear electronic devices breathing. And the geek in me says it was like, Darth Vader waking up after they put the Darth Vader suit on him. I can hear all these sounds. And the nurse above me, as I'm laying down, and the voice from up above coming down on me saying, oh, great, you're awake, dude. Okay, I'm going to take that tube out. Hold on. Don't go. Don't do anything. Don't yank it out. Don't try to pull it out. And I remember sensing the tube in my throat, and my first thought was, fuck you, Erica. I woke up with the tube. Yeah. They did not take it out. And I remember. So the part that I want to share with everyone is when you know somebody who's been in surgery and you get a chance to go visit with them post-surgery, whatever surgery, and they're not awake yet, and the nurses are telling you, go ahead, talk to them. even if it's a simple surgery, nothing as major as a triple bypass, but they're saying, talk to them. They can hear you. I can attest. You can hear. I don't think I should have remembered coming out of surgery, but I remember it vividly.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing my wife talking to me. We're here. Everything's okay. You did great. You're out. I can hear my mom talking to me. I can't open my eyes. I can't move. But I remember hearing them, the nurses, or the nurse, the equipment, all of that. And all I could do was raise my thumb and say, okay, that's all. We're here. We're going to go to lunch, however long the surgery took. Now, I tell you that story to tell you this story. Post-surgery, Tuesday morning, I'm sure it's about maybe 2, 3 o'clock. I'm trying to remember this. I'm awake. I'm conscious. Tubes out of my mouth. I'm sitting up in bed. I'm trying to contact with everybody. I'm trying to talk to people. I can't talk. Yeah. So I'm asking for a pen, pad. Let me write something. I need it to my pillow. Got to move my pillow, whatever. The nurse is the only one who can understand me. So they're doing things for me. They're moving me. The family can't understand me. And everything's great. And you're out of surgery. And okay, cool. From that moment, I remember waking up. And I told you this, I think, when we met for lunch, Charlie. I remember waking up. I have to close my eyes so I can tell the story as vivid as I can. I felt like I'm encased. I'm enclosed in something. I can't move around. I can't move my arm out. I can't see beyond as far as you and I are. What, 3 or 4 feet?
4 feet.
4 feet. I can't see beyond that. Everything is black beyond. Mm-hmm. If you're looking at me, beyond me, it's black in the behind. And what I can see is blue. It's like a shade of blue. You know how nowadays in the movies they film a certain scene, there's like a green tint to it, or there's like a yellow. It's not a real true color.
Right.
I can see 2 images in front of me. There's a tall image, there's a short image, body form.
Slender Man.
It's exactly what I thought. At one point, I even thought, holy shit, I've been abducted. I'm in an alien. I can't I don't understand what's happening. And I can talk at this point. And I'm and they're moving, and that's the bitch of it. They're moving my legs around. They're moving my body.
You're horizontal. You're laying
I'm laying down.
And they're moving your feet.
And they're moving me. They're moving me. And I can't see beyond, and everything's like a blue tint. And I think my first words were, hey, hi, hello, hi, excuse me, what happened? What? Where am I?
Squeeze me?
Yeah, exactly. You brought in I don't know if it was a blue Gatorade, but picture that blue color of Gatorade, that light sky blue and everything. And I remember the taller image turning to the shorter image saying, oh, he's coming out of it. And I'm thinking, what was I in? Where am I? And hi, where am I? What happened? And they're like, you don't know what happened? I'm like, no. Do you know where you are? No. You're in a hospital. You had a heart attack. You've had surgery. You don't remember any of this. And I'm like, nope. Cannot remember. And by the way, still can't see shit. Still can't see beyond these 2 images. And I'm thinking, oh man, are these morticians? I'm trying to find. I'm not thinking of the worst. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm at, what's happening. And mind you, I had already had surgery. I'd been up. I'd been awake. I'd been talking to people, communicating. Just not like post-surgery. There's a big chunk of I'm okay. And images are starting to come into play behind them now, slowly. I still can't understand where I'm at. And they're doing whatever it is that they're doing with me. And thinking hard. What happened? What happened? I can see somebody in the background behind them now on a computer, typing, doing this thing, looking down, looking back up, looking down, looking back up. And I thought, am I in a hotel lobby? This guy's checking people in. What am I doing? Am I in an airport?
Are you somebody's luggage?
What am I? I for a second thought I must have fallen, and they're tending to me in this hotel. I'm literally on the floor. Yeah. I can't. And it's still that blue. And I keep mentioning the blue because of an instance afterwards. And I'm asking them, where am I? Where am I? And I'm looking at the shorter image, and I'm saying, do I know you from somewhere? God, you look familiar to me. Did I meet you from work, or did I go to high school with you? She looks, the face, and I just can't. And she's almost laughing at me, telling me, I'm your nurse. I shaved you. You don't remember me? There was this whole shaving incident. There was a whole shaving incident that we'll get into later. And I said no, and I'll never. And I couldn't even laugh. And I remember reaching out, and as far as you are, I remember reaching out and grabbing her hand.
Yeah.
Just looking for an energy, just looking for an anchor. And I even told her, help me. I don't know where I'm at. Tell me what happened. And they're like, she even went, oh, because I'm reaching out to her. But I'm like, bitch, I don't know where the fuck I am. And they're telling me, yeah, you were at home. You don't remember. You were playing video games, and you had a heart attack, and you had to come into the hospital. And I'm like, that sounds like things I would be doing, but I don't remember. Do you know where you live? And no, could not. I remember to my mom's house. The minute they said, do you know where you live? I went back to mom. I went back a few years, to where I was living. You have a dog. You were telling us about your dog. What's your dog's name? And I'm naming dogs two back. Shelby?
Years ago, yeah.
So essentially what happened was I wasn't up and modern. And they even told me, do you know what today's date is? And I was like, no. And they're like, it's June 7th, 2016. And in an instant, I thought, that's the fucking future. Whoa, where the fuck? What? Yeah. That's... So I'm living in an era, I want to say about mid-90s. I woke up in the mid-90s, my mind frame, And then I said, where's my son? Because I knew I've got to have a son. I knew. And if they would have said, you don't have a son, I'd have just got up and left. This is the Twilight Zone. I'm out of here. No, he hasn't come by. He hasn't come by. And
they bring you back a 30-year-old man. What the hell?
Who's this guy? And then I said, where's my wife? And she went home. She's been here all night. She was with you all day after the surgery. And then I had to think, who's my wife? Because I, again, previously married. And no, okay, we got divorced. There's a whole ugly side. Okay, that's it. Now, and then, and again, still blue, but still starting to come into a bit of a focus now.
You see your current wife on. Thank God.
Yeah, well... Hand to God, they said, would you like for us to call her? And I said, yes, please. Because, again, I'm looking for an anchor. I'm looking for...
something that you're familiar with.
Yeah, no clue. So they hand me a phone, and I'll never forget. It must have been like a walkie-talkie phone, or it was like those old big-ass Motorola, but like the sports phones.
Yeah.
Like yellow. And I can distinctly see... I'm thinking about Rob Holguin now. I wonder if it was even yellow. They hand me this phone, and Z's on the phone, and as soon as I heard her voice, I kind of, okay, got that breath of air, and I said, where are you? And she's like, I was there with you all night. I got to go to work. I have to go to work. I've been with you all night. And I'm like, can you just come for a second? Because I have no fucking clue what's going on. And at that, I remember them taking the phone and
they talk to her.
He's having a really hard time right now. Can you come and see him before you go to work? Well, thankfully, we were just right down the street from where we live. The hospital was right down the street, and she came and saw me and stuff. And I think it took me the remainder of the day to remember everything that happened. Now, the reason why I say that was a near-death experience is because I come to find out that at a certain point when I was conscious, when I was talking with everybody or whatever, I don't remember this happening, but apparently I was in pain again. So they gave me more morphine. I think there was morphine still in me from the surgery.
Yeah.
X amount of however much morphine they gave me that hadn't gone through its course yet, and they gave me a double amount of morphine. So I think I bottomed out because they told my wife they had to give me a shot of Narcan to bring me back.
Yeah.
And Narcan is what happens when
OD.
Druggies OD. Mm-hmm. So that's about as close to, if not death, as I would ever like to be for the time being. But I don't remember.
At least in your case, they had to use that Narcan in a hospital while you're receiving care. You're not like in the
gutter. The back alley. Somebody stumbled upon me looking for
with a half-dressed woman with tattoos and no teeth.
Yeah, sexual favors for crack. That's later in life.
Somebody's on flaca.
But that's why. But that's why I said I know at one point obviously I died while on the table because they had to stop my heart. I get that, and I bottomed out. I don't want to say died because I don't know how close it was to a death, but it was, as far as I'm concerned, as near death of experience as I can get. Now, was there a tunnel? Was there a white light? Was there any of that? No, absolutely not. And I don't remember being in that pain and asking for. And it took me the day to recover from that episode. And I tell everybody the most ironic thing about that whole episode is, if there's anything I wish, follow me on this, if there's anything I wish I could forget about that entire heart surgery situation, is the day that I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Because
not remembering is a son of a bitch.
Scary.
And so it turns out they were bathing me. The two nurses were giving me a bath. And now I remember the nurses, and one of them was the little friend that you know on Facebook and stuff. Yeah. But it's just a kick in the ass. Never mind the heart surgery. And that's why I said I don't think I fully understand.
That's why they were moving your legs.
Yes.
They
were
makes
bathing
sense now.
me.
Okay.
At whatever time it was in the morning, it was bath time. And so to wake up to have these images,
beans
controlling you,
yeah.
literally without you, and you have no fucking clue what's going on. That was scary. That to me was, and I wish I can appreciate.
Turn over, spread your cheeks.
Okay, well, I don't know what the hell's going on. Let me get over here. I appreciate the thing that I went through, but I wish I could forget that. That's like one memory out of.
I'm sure the nurses wish they could forget that.
All right, you've been checking your Facebook. I know you're going to try to contact her.
I might message her and ask her if.
I don't know if she's still there, but and as we record this podcast, I guess we start to quickly begin to wrap up things. I couldn't stand her when she would come in. She was the night nurse at the time. I don't even remember her name. I know once I see it, I'll know, but I don't remember her name. And I know. She would come. I don't know why I didn't like her. I couldn't stand her. Maddie, I loved. Maddie was the day nurse. Maddie, if you're still there, I love you to death.
But the other one.
I can't remember her name, and I don't want to. Couldn't stand
Starts
her.
with an A.
It's not Alice, but it's close.
It's not.
Yeah, I know. It's not Alice, but it's close. I couldn't stand her. And again, that's so unfair.
Maybe we can get her on the show.
I would love to. I would love to share. Then I tell you this again. I'll make this. If you get her on the show, I will talk about the shaving incident.
Okay.
And maybe even bring the wife in because the wife was there because they have to prep you for surgery.
Right.
And I found out what prepping you for surgery means. All of it off. Yeah. All of it. And look at me. I'm a hairy beast.
Yeah.
There's a lot going to it. So near-death experiences. And that now, and I'll tell you, makes me more fearful of my death. I know it's coming. I know it's going to happen. But that's my nightmare now. Last night I couldn't sleep. I think I was thinking about this podcast.
Yeah.
And my eventual ending scares the shit out of me. For every reason, though. You know, the selfish reason of not being around anymore. The idea of what's going to happen when we move on. The idea of what's going to happen to the family. What's going to happen to my son. What's going to happen to the wife? You know, if I would have died now, my mom, you know, but dad's passed since.
Yeah.
But all those things, kind of what you thought too. But it's more. I just don't want it to. You know, I'm living as long as I'm living forever. So far, so good.
Yeah.
You know, so near-death experiences. Ugh, what a downer. What a downer way to end the show. I hate it. But if you've ever had a near-death experience, or for that matter, anything else you want to discuss or would like for us to discuss, again, the hiccups, leave us a comment on the Stay Tuned El Paso Facebook, also the phone number. I keep mentioning we have a phone number. We still have the phone number?
No.
Oh, we got rid of the phone?
I don't know what happened to it, but nobody had really been using it and calling and stuff, so they can reach us by email or on Facebook.
I see a lot of messages on the Stay Tuned El Paso Facebook site.
Yeah.
Advertising, if you want to get into that as well, contact us. We'd love to have some sponsors. I want to thank everybody for listening in on this podcast, and again, make sure you like us, share us, hashtag us, STEPL STEP. Any ideas for Stay Tuned El Paso? Always taking those suggestions, thoughts, and ideas. We mentioned it before. We'll mention it again. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.
You are listening to Stay Tuned El Paso with Victor Cruz and Charlie Moreno.
The best thing to happen to El Paso ever.